All of a sudden, it's the much maligned Carolina Frontcourt that's leading the way. What?
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Thursday, March 13th, 2025. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making us your first listen or watch today to get your Thursday going the right way. Special shout out to all you everydayers, all the Locked On Tar Heels insiders, and of course, our great Locked On Tar Heels Discord family. This episode is brought to you by TurboTax. You ready for a stress-free tax experience and the most money back guaranteed? Head on over to TurboTax.com today and get matched with your tax expert. Joining me is a newly minted state champion for the first time in his coaching or playing career, something I can never say about. You know what I can say? Between the two of us, Coach Pac Kilby and I have one state championship, and it ain't me. Pac, congrats. I can't wait to hear about it. We're going to ask you about it later in the show. So celebrating Carolina's win over Notre Dame, looking ahead to the Wake Forest game today. We will have a postcast reaction show after that, make plans to skip work now. And we will obviously update on the bubble and Carolina. As of right now, Joe Lunardi's got them in, and boy, is there a crazy potential situation brewing in that bracket. That's where we're headed. But Pac, here's where we got to start this conversation coming out of the Notre Dame game. Which, by the way, thankfully, Carolina didn't need an Elliot Cadeau miracle 4-point play to win it this time around like they did back in January. But it is the Carolina Frontcourt that has received its lumps. Its fair share of lumps. Its fair share of this Frontcourt's not good, but can they just be around and set screens and let the backcourt cook? Well, Pac Kilby, in this game, Jalen Withers goes for a career-high 21 points on 7 of 10 shooting, 9 boards, 1 assist, 0 turnovers, 2 blocks, 2 steals. Ven-Allen Lubin gets his second double-double in the last 3 games, 17 points on 8 of 13 shooting. This is how you know you're having a year. That 8 of 13 brought his field goal percentage down. 10 rebounds, 5 of them were offensive, an assist, 2 blocks, and a steal. I believe he actually had 2 assists was credited to him after the fact. Pac Kilby, what happens when this Carolina team that is led by its backcourt suddenly has this front court in Jae'lyn and Ven-Allen Lubin that's figured it out, man? What does that mean for this team?
Well, it definitely changes the ceiling for this team. I mean, it's like you said, there's been a lot of criticism towards that front court all year long. And a lot of it has been justified. And to this point, they've struggled. But here lately, they've been playing really well. Obviously, we saw that today. When Jalen Withers, he kind of, in a way, adds a Brady Manic dynamic the way he's been stretching the floor. And obviously today was a different story. But really, I mean, he's been shooting it well for the last 7 or 8 games, I would say. Would you agree with that?
100%.
Yeah.
I think he was a little less effective in the Duke game, but much more in the winning streak and surrounding it. In fact, Pac, his 7 made threes is 1 shy from the all-time Carolina single game record for made threes, which is 8, which a bunch of dudes do. Rashad McCants, Ray Felton, Shammond Williams, Jeff McInnes, Dante Calabria, and Coach Davis himself all had 8 threes in a game. Jalen Withers was 1 shy of tying that group, Pac. It's absolutely crazy. It's the most threes a Tar Heel has ever made in the ACC tournament.
Yeah, it's remarkable what he did today. But, man, he provides a boost. He stretches the floor when he's shooting the ball like that. And I thought Notre Dame was really kind of letting him get great shots.
That's the point.
His feet were set. Not a lot of them were contested. He was in rhythm, and he was knocking them down. And just that right there in itself, proving that he can do that, is going to change the way that teams have to guard him.
Yep.
And that's going to open –
Go ahead. Yep, exactly. Go. Say what you're saying.
It opens it up so much more for Elliot, Ian, RJ, Seth, you name it.
And Ven inside.
Yeah, and Ven. It frees up that post because those guys have to guard the perimeter more. And Ven, like we saw today, he's a beneficiary of that. Amongst other things, I thought our ball movement was really good today. We were really sharing the basketball. We were getting paint touches, spraying it around. And Ven-Allen Lubin was kind of the recipient of some of those help up, dump offs. He slams it home or lays it in. Like, he did a good job with that. And so, but a lot of that is credit to Withers and some of the other guys for stretching the floor the way they've been shooting the ball. And so when we're doing that and they're contributing in those ways, man, it changes the dynamic of our team. You know, one of the things I thought of today when I was watching the game, in the preseason, John Rothstein, he went and watched Carolina practice, and he said, if the bigs can contribute 12 points and 12 rebounds per game, then Carolina is going to be formidable. Do you remember this?
I do. Absolutely.
And we were like, 12 points and 12 rebounds. What are you talking about, dude? Like, they'll get that easy. It turns out maybe some nights they haven't. But the point is, they're over exceeding that now. And it turns out that there may be some truth to that. You know, when those guys are contributing in that way, when they're combining for 38 points, I mean, that's going to make us really tough to beat. But even if they just can combine for 20 points and double-digit rebounds with our guard play, I think we're going to be okay. And they seem to have found some consistency in that here in the last few games.
Yeah, I mean, just those two alone, not even thinking of J-Wash, 38 points and 19 rebounds for Ven-Allen Lubin, Pac, just as we all expected. He's the most impactful transfer that Carolina has this year, right? Like, we all saw that coming in. We all called it. No, bad, terrible call on Mr. Isaac Schade. But Pac, Ven-Allen gets a double-double, his second of the season. And listen to this. They've both come in the last 3 games. The Virginia Tech game was the other one. 7th straight double-figure scoring game for Ven-Allen Lubin. That's the longest streak of his career. And he was get this. I know we always say plus minus is not the end all be all. There's only so much it can do for you. But Ven-Allen was a game high plus 28 in plus minus in this thing. This dude has, like, he's just found his niche, his niche. I should be less highfalutin, his niche. And everyone else has found it around him, and they're just doing it. I love, Pac, would you talk about, because obviously I noticed it and I talked about it some, but I would love your coaching eyes on this. Notre Dame was so willing to switch everything 1 through 5, and it just let Carolina get simple post looks for Ven-Allen Lubin, and he finished to the tune of 17 points, 2 off his Carolina career high.
Yeah, well, and it's hard to blame Notre Dame because I've had similar thoughts. You know, a lot of people watch Carolina and they don't think Carolina has enough of a post threat to be concerned with switching. And I think a lot of people look at it and think they don't think Carolina is going to throw in there this year. And we haven't thrown it in there a lot. I mean, if you really think about it, how many times have we just thrown it in for a post up? I mean, not nearly as much as we did when number 5 was down there. So that, I think Notre Dame was not necessarily crazy for thinking of switching everything. Yeah. Now, they should have adjusted.
That's the point. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and they never did. And so that's where I think they went wrong. But I don't think they're wrong for trying it, because I probably would have done the same. Because where it gets scary is if you don't switch and you get hung up on a screen or whatever, and then all of a sudden our guards are getting downhill. We're really good when we're doing that. But we did a good job. We did a good job of taking advantage of, taking advantage of the switches today. And I think that paid dividends for us.
And what else does that allow when the interior is being strong? The 3-point shooting. It was down in the Duke game, but Carolina reset so well. Pac, they went bonkers in this game from 3, 13 of 28. The season average, you know how we've been looking at what was the season average before the winning streak and what is it now? I've been looking at that. It was 32.3% before the winning streak started. Pac, right now, it is 35.7%. So in 8 games, it's gone up 3.4%. And the Tar Heels as a team are now 72nd in the nation in 3-point shooting. Catch this. I didn't realize this until I was looking when I was updating my stats post-game. RJ has made at least 3 threes in each of the last 5 games, Pac. 5 straight games or 3 or more threes for RJ, who, by the way, is now shooting a career high for single season free throw percentage. This dude that was already Carolina's leader in free throw percentage is now shooting the best percentage of his career. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and he's been, I mean, the stats just backed it up, but he's looked so much more like RJ since we've been on this win streak, or this really good streak of good basketball.
7 out of 8 wins. Right. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. He's looked a lot more like the RJ we expected him to look like. And I think, we all know when RJ is good, Carolina is good, right? He makes us tick. He is our guy, and he's been playing really well here lately.
In fact, I want to go back to something you said that we moved off of and didn't come back to. You talked about how well Carolina moved the ball, 19 assists on 28 field goals. And when you contrast that with what happened Saturday, Carolina moved it well at times, but only 8 total assists. And Duke when they decided Carolina was done, it was over. That defense shut everything off, and Carolina's offense looked completely stagnant. In this game, they moved the ball so much better than that. It was not as electric as it was in the winning streak. Like Carolina didn't get to 80 points like they did in every game of that winning streak, but they got 76. They didn't get to 1.3 points per possession like they did in every game of that winning streak, but they got to 1.226, Pac, which is plenty of enough against a Notre Dame team that is very slow paced, right? And so that was a big critical thing that I thought was really good. What did you think about the offense in totality? I just wanted to hear more about what you were thinking about how well they moved the ball, including that possession. Let me say really quick, sorry. That possession where they moved it like 9 times, a bunch of pump fakes, wound up with a Ven-Allen Lubin dunk in the first half there, man. It was just a thing of beauty.
Yeah, that possession stands out the most to me of any in this game. But there were multiple possessions where I thought the ball just moved really well. And a saying I always use with our teams that I thought Carolina did a good job of today: pass up a good shot to get a great one. Pass up a good shot to get a better one. And I thought Carolina did that. I thought there were times we could have shot the ball. And there were still a few possessions where I thought we could have gotten a better look. But for the most part, I thought we gave up good shots to get better ones. And I thought, and I know we'll get into more of this in the second segment, but I thought our defense was good, and that sparked our offense. And the same can be said the other way. Because shots were going in and we were getting after it, it was easier for us to guard. And there's a strong correlation there between those two. But I thought the team did a really good job of sharing the basketball and making sure we got good looks.
North Carolina had a really important moment after the game that I thought really set the tone for what we're learning about this team late. Plus, Coach Rob said 3 things that he was watching for this week from Carolina. Pac and I are going to try to figure out, did they accomplish those things on Wednesday? We'll get to all that coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Monarch Money, you ever check your bank account and wonder, where'd all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over all your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. My wife and I always want to make sure we're on the same page when it comes to finances, and thankfully with Monarch Money, managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDON at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Again, that's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDON for half off your first year. This episode is also brought to you by our good friends at Factor. Boy, I'm getting hungry just saying the name. Are you looking to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor makes eating well easy with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals that are fresh, never frozen, and ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences every single week, you can customize your meals to fit your lifestyle. Whether it's Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto, man, they got you covered. Plus, Factor even offers wholesome smoothies, breakfasts, and grab-and-go snacks to keep you fueled all day long. I love how Factor takes the stress out of meal planning, and without sacrificing taste, these meals are packed with flavor. The convenience is unbeatable. No prep, no mess, just great food in minutes. So eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50 off and use code LockedOnCollege50 off to get 50% off your box plus free shipping on that first box. Again, that's code LockedOnCollege50 off at factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Pac, we've got these three things that we want to evaluate from Coach Rob that he was asking about or saying that he needed to see from Carolina, valuing the basketball, defensive intensity, and finishing possessions. But before we get there, I thought perhaps one of the most important things we learned about the Tar Heels on Wednesday did not happen during the game. It was after the game. Jalen Withers obviously is the player of the game. He's the one that gets the interview with Angel Gray. But what did you see? All gathered around Jay Witt was the entire team. They're giving him a hard time. Drake Powell's putting a towel on his head while he's trying to talk. And then after the interview wraps up, RJ Davis wraps up that dude in the biggest hug that I've seen in a minute. Pac Kilby, you're a man that's seen and coached a lot of basketball teams. We've wondered and worried about chemistry with this team all season long. What does a moment like that teach you about a basketball team?
Well, let's start here. What is it that the great Dean Smith said? Play hard, play smart, and play
together. Yeah.
And here's the thing about it. Here's where I'm going with this. He's talking about play together on the basketball court, but that doesn't happen without chemistry off the court and all the camaraderie that goes into becoming a team off the court before it spills on to how you play together on the court. And that's the type of stuff we're seeing right now that maybe we haven't seen as much of this season. It seems like those guys are having fun. They're a unit. They're together, picking each other up, celebrating each other, giving each other, a hard time in fun, obviously. And we were able to see all of those things just in that clip. And to me, it just spells off-court chemistry, which means they're going to naturally play together on the court. And we saw that today. And so hopefully we continue to see more of that.
Yeah. And you see it playing out in the success of this team. It was another wire-to-wire win for Carolina. Drake Powell got things started with a corner three to make it 3-0, and Carolina never looked back. Pac Kilby, that is now 4 wire-to-wire wins in the last 8 games. That is pretty insane. Especially for a team that's had a struggle of a year. They had 2 wire-to-wire wins before that in this season. But man, it's just really impressive what they've been able to do. All right, Pac, I want to get to the 3 things Coach Rob said he was looking for: valuing the basketball, defensive intensity, and finishing possessions. Let's take them one at a time. Let's start with valuing the basketball, just meaning take care of that thing. Each possession matters. Pac, how do you think? Let me ask it this way. What grade would you give Carolina on a A to F school grade, you know what I mean, in valuing the basketball on Wednesday?
I'll give it let's go with a B+.
Okay.
I think we had, correct me if I'm wrong, 9 turnovers.
8. Yep. 2 in the first half, 6 in the second.
Okay. So 8 turnovers, which, that's not bad. And the first half in this game was a lot more important than the second half because we took care of business. So only 2 turnovers really when it mattered. And the other thing about valuing the basketball is not just not turning it over. Valuing the basketball also means we're getting good shots each possession.
Thank you. There you
go. For the most part, I thought we did that. We kind of already talked about that, but we got really good looks. We shared the ball. We passed up good looks to get better ones. So I'll go B+.
Man, I cannot tell you how much I love that point you just made, because in a lot of ways, a bad shot, you might as well go ahead and put that in the turnover column because it's the first shot in the fast break for the other team. Dude, that was brilliant, Pac Kilby. Very well said. Defensive intensity, A to F. What grade would you give it? Let me throw you some numbers to just help everyone understand what Carolina did in this game. Notre Dame shot just 29.4% in the first half, 32.3% for the game. Jalen Withers by himself made more threes than did Notre Dame, 7-6. Carolina only allowed 56 points, the third lowest total of the season. 2 of the last 3 games have been 2 of the lowest 4 totals they've allowed this season. Held Notre Dame to 0.848 points per possession. That's the second time in the last 3 games holding a team under 1. Carolina held Notre Dame under 30 points in both halves. And then there's the whole Markus Burton conversation. I want to save that part of it. There's all that, Pack, at the big picture level. Give us a grade on the defense.
Well, after hearing all that, I don't know how you could give them anything less than an A. I thought we did a really good job defensively. And a lot of times defense is like, it's, sometimes I think we get focused on, like, for me anyways, like I go Seth Trimble, man, he's out there guarding, but then it looks like maybe some of the other guys aren't quite where they're supposed to be off the ball or something. But in this game, I thought we were really cohesive. We did a really good job as a team of forcing them to, and I don't know the numbers on this, but watching the game live, I thought we forced them into quite a few mid-range shots, which is the goal. And so we got them to shoot long twos, and a lot of times they were contested long twos. They were missing. Everything at the rim felt like it was contested. And so I thought we did a really good job defensively. I'll give them an A.
And what's interesting about it is specifically the word defensive intensity, not just defense itself. And I thought Carolina delivered on that. That was another thing Jalen Withers said in that post-game interview. Like, why are things so successful? Because we're competing in our defense, right? And it's clear, like, you expect it out of Drake and Seth, but there were multiple possessions where Ian was fighting like crazy to stay in front of his man. Multiple possessions where Jay-Witt was shuffling those feet, cutting off the baseline, whatever he needed to do to be part of that. Pac, I said I wanted to come back to Markus Burton. Coach Rob and I had actually predicted on yesterday's show, or not predicted, but suggested we thought Carolina should start with Drake Powell guarding Markus Burton. Coach Davis clearly heard us and didn't. No, I'm just kidding. But that's what Coach Davis did. Brilliant move by him, similar to Leaky Black on Kihei Clark several years ago. And then when Drake was out of the game, Seth Trimble took his turn. Markus Burton, the ACC's leading scorer at 22 a game, the nation's third leading scorer, was held to literally half his points, 11 points, just 3 of 11 from the field, no threes, and 5 of his 6 points were at the free throw line. 5 of his 11 points were at the free throw line. What, Pac? I mean, obviously the team is important, as I think Coach Rob said yesterday. You can't focus on Burton so much that you forget the other 4 dudes and they burn you. But in addition to what Carolina did on everyone else, how important was that job on Burton today?
Yeah, very important, because me and you had talked about this separately before the game. I had actually said I wanted to play Pitt. And one of the reasons was because of Burton, right? Like we had talked about, Burton's scary because when he gets going, man, I mean, he's hard to slow down.
Yeah, he had 23, I think, in the first game against Carolina.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, he never got going, and so that's a credit to Drake Powell, to Seth Trimble, to the team. A lot of times, like with my team, if we're playing a really good player, I'll really emphasize it's not just Drake Powell guarding him, it's our team guarding him. We're in the gaps, we're flying around, we're making sure we're helping our teammates, we're not giving them second chances, whatever it is. But Carolina did a good job to that today, and they kept him in front. They forced him some tough shots, and I felt like, I mean, not just Burton, but everybody, when they were getting to the rim, everything was contested. There were hands all around the basketball, and it felt like everything was just tough for them today. Which is exactly what you want. Yeah. And so like you said, 5 of his 11 points were from the free throw line. I love that. We're not going to let you score easy. You're going to have to go to the stripe and earn it, and so I like the job that we did today. Yeah,
man, really, really encouraging for Carolina. All right, Pac, last one of those 3 was finishing possessions. Notre Dame, a little bit of a lower possession game just with Notre Dame's pace. Carolina, since they had such a big lead, they weren't in a big hurry in the second half either. Notre Dame finishes with 10 offensive rebounds in this game. You know what I forgot to look at was second chance points. How did that play out? Let's look at it really quick here, Pac. second chance points. Carolina led 9-7, so it was pretty even. But in totality, and I know I'm just giving the total offensive rebounds. Really, we should probably pull up and look at offensive rebound percentage, whatever, fine. How did you feel like, just anecdotally to the eye test, Carolina did in ending possessions with finishing them well? Carolina finishes with 34 defensive rebounds.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, since we've been doing grades, I'll give it a B. It's the one area I thought we could have done a better job at. And a lot of times, like if you watch the game, I think we need to do a little bit better job guarding the basketball sometimes. And the reason I say that, where I'm going with this, is when you don't guard the ball really that well, it forces us to help. And the more we help, the more we have to rotate on the backside, and then everybody's out of rebounding position. And I think sometimes that's where we get beat. And so if we could just tune that up just a little bit to guarding the ball just a little bit better, then I think that'll in turn leave us in better position to rebound the basketball better. But for the most part, I thought we did a pretty good job today. It didn't feel to the eye test like they had 10 offensive rebounds.
I agree.
I would have guessed more like 7. But nonetheless, I thought we did a pretty good job. I'll give it a B.
Yeah. All right. So there you go. We're going to need to keep evaluating that. We'll have to do it again after the Wake Forest game and see where Carolina is. Speaking of the Wake Forest game, Pac, we got to get ready for that. We got to get an update on the bubble and NCAA and Carolina's tournament standing. And then I need to hear about the Dale Pirates bringing home a state championship. We'll get to all that in just a second. Right after I tell you about TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back, and then waiting and wondering and worrying some more. Now, Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives you your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, and everything with 100% accuracy. All so you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now, this is Taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com, only available with TurboTax Live full service, real-time updates only in the iOS mobile app, and you can see guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Pac, just because of time and because of quick turnaround and because Carolina's already played Wake Forest, we're not going to spend a whole time unpacking a whole thing on Wake Forest and talking about what you got to do. You just, look, you got to come out and you got to play. That's what Carolina's got to do. Like, end of story, period. Do what you did on Wednesday and you win another basketball game, right? Let's remember back, Carolina lost by 1 to Wake Forest in Winston-Salem, the only regular season meeting. However, it was really 4, and RJ hit like a deep 3 at the buzzer to cut it to 1. That was fine. Whatever. This is a different basketball team, Pac Kilby. What can you learn from that? And how do you, but also, do you kind of just scrap it and say, sure, we learned some stuff about who they are and how they play, but we're going to do what we're going to do. And yeah, we'll guard Hunter Shallis well. We'll look at Cam Hildreth. We're going to try to shut down, whatever we got to do with all that. How are you prepping for this game?
Well, there's a lot of variables. I think, first of all, when you look back at the first game, I think you can take away some things. We know personnel, we know scheme, and those things are good to know heading into a game on like a quick turnaround like that. But I think what we've learned more than anything is we've learned more about ourselves. And that's really, to me anyways, the focus, especially in tournament style situations where you play one day and you got to turn around and play the next. You really don't have time to focus on anything but yourself anyways. And it goes back to what you said, do what we did against, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank.
Against Notre Dame.
No, sorry. Thank you. Do what we did against Notre Dame, and we're going to be great against Wake Forest. We're going to be fine. It's exactly what Coach Rob said. Value the basketball, defensive intensity, finish possessions. If we do those things, we're going to win. And so I think that's the key. Yes, we need to know a little bit about Wake Forest. We need to know who we need to guard, who we need to focus on, whatever. But the main thing is still the main thing, and that's North Carolina.
Look, it's another game against a high-level offensive guard in Hunter Salas, who's definitely got more size than Markus Burton. He's bigger. You doing the same thing? You putting Drake Powell on him on
Absolutely.
Thursday today?
Yep, I am.
Okay, love it. So we'll see how Carolina comes out in defensive alignment and what happens. FanDuel actually already has a line for this game, Carolina by 5.5. Pac, I'm feeling like Carolina, maybe I'm biased or optimistic. I feel like this is a double-digit win for the Tar Heels, 12 to 15 points maybe.
I hope so. My only question is do we come out hungry? Like, I think if Carolina's hungry and they're intense and they're playing their, like they're getting after it.
Yeah,
I agree wholeheartedly. Now, if we lay down and we show up not ready to go or whatever, not hooked up from the get-go, we might be in a dogfight. But I think Carolina knows what's at stake. I agree. I expect them to show up and handle business.
And looking back at Wake's size, I think it definitely works to have Drake Powell on Hunter Salas. You got Cam Hildreth at 6'4". That's probably going to be RJ. You got Tyler Johnson at 6 foot. That's probably Elliot, or flip the two of them, whatever. Efton Reed, 6'11". That's Ven-Allen Lubin. You got Trayvon Spillers at 6'7". So Jay Witt's going to have a size advantage at the 4. And then you got Salas at 6'5" with a bigger Drake Powell on him. It just makes sense, right? Like, do it just like you did on Wednesday. All right, Pac Kilby. Here's the curious question from me to you. The Carolina, should they beat Wake, right? Like, knock on wood as much as you can. The other game that this one goes with in the bracket is the Duke Georgia Tech game. So let me pose a scenario to you. Would you rather, if Carolina beat Wake, have Duke win and have your shot at them in the semifinals, knowing that a loss there might knock you out, but a win there, and by knock you out, obviously the ACC tournament, I mean might knock you out of the NCAA tournament, while a win there would probably solidify you in the NCAA tournament with a win against the number 1 team in the nation. However, if Georgia Tech wins, obviously it's a lower level game you're going to play. Georgia Tech wouldn't move the needle much. It's probably a quad 2. I haven't looked ahead. But you got a better shot at that point of winning the ACC tournament and taking it out of the committee's hands, because you could maybe then go on and win the ACC tournament final and automatically be in the NCAA tournament. So all that considered, who would you rather see if Carolina makes the semifinals?
Oh, man, that's quite a scenario.
Right?
Initially, I was actually leaning towards picking Duke, just because I think it's really hard to beat a team 3 times, especially in the Carolina-Duke rivalry.
Sure.
And Carolina has a lot at stake, so I think we would show up. But I think I'm actually going to go with Georgia Tech, just for the simple fact of it gives us a better path to winning the ACC championship, which means we don't have to – we take it out of the committee's hands, we punch our own ticket, and we don't have to fret about it anymore. So, yeah, I think I would go with Georgia Tech, but I certainly wouldn't mind getting a chance to beat Duke again either.
Yeah, I'm not going to elaborate because that's my exact thought process. Bingo, 100% spot on. Speaking of crazy scenarios, Pac, how about this one? Obviously, Carolina's win against Notre Dame is not a massive needle mover. It's a quad 2 win, so that's definitely helpful. But in some other bubble action, Ohio State lost to Iowa. That is their 15th loss, Pac. The most teams any at-large team has ever had and made it in the tournament is 15. It's happened 3 times. Vandy in 2017, Bama in 2018, and Florida in 2019, and could be Ohio State this year. But at least for now, Joe Lunardi had to move them out and Carolina in as the last team in the field. Texas beat Vanderbilt. That's a quad 1 win, but he still didn't leapfrog Carolina. West Virginia lost. They're pretty comfortably in despite losing to Colorado. So I don't think that, it doesn't hurt Carolina, but I don't think it helps much. As you and I talked, Georgia is up 2 on Oklahoma with 9:29 to go. Oklahoma losing would be really helpful for Carolina. They might still be too far out ahead of Carolina, though. We will see. But Pat, because of what happened, Joe Lunardi moved Carolina, as I said, to the last team in. Here's where they place them in the bracket. Are you ready for this bonkersness?
Let's hear it.
Okay, he has them in a play-in game in Dayton against Xavier. The winner of that game, he's got playing against the Arizona Wildcats, meaning if like, this is far-fetched, of course, but if this scenario played out and Carolina beat Xavier, Carolina would then be playing Arizona, meaning that either RJ Davis would end Caleb Love's college career or Caleb Love would end RJ Davis's college career, Pac Kilby. How bonkers level crazy is that?
That's pretty wild.
I
love the fact that he has us in the field. I would rather avoid that scenario.
Same. Me too. And also, as you pointed out, Coach Steve Robinson's on their staff, so it's two former Carolina assistants having to battle it out with their season on the line. I mean, it's just Caleb versus RJ with their college life on the line, a battle to the death, Pac Kilby. I don't know. I can't do it. Okay. I've also got a trivia question for you, man. We're just full of craziness today. You ready?
I'm ready.
In the YouTube chat, in the post game after the Notre Dame game, Brandon McLean asked this question. Does anyone know if a 22 or 23 win UNC team has ever missed the tourney? And my brain started whirring immediately. Obviously, I couldn't look it up in real time because I wanted to keep talking and doing stuff. But here's how I want to ask it to you, Pac. I thought about it, and I thought I would pose it slightly differently. I want you to guess what is the most wins North Carolina has ever had and missed the NCAA tournament. So it's a year where Carolina missed the tournament, but the most wins they had in that scenario. And I'll say we're only going back to 1985, which is when the field expanded to 64 teams. So in the last 40 years.
I'm going to say 25.
Wins?
25 wins.
Okay, that's high. You want to guess again or you want me to tell you?
23.
Still high.
Oh, okay. 19.
That's low. It's 20. You dip just below it. So twice. So in the 64 team era, Carolina has missed 4 times technically, but really a 5th in 2020 because they weren't making the tournament. So I included that one. Okay. The lowest wins they've had in a season where they missed was 2002, of course, 8. The next lowest was that 2020 season. Carolina had 14 wins. In 2003, they had 19 wins and missed the tournament. And then in 2010 and 2023, they had 20 wins and missed the tournament. So Pac Kilby, as of right now, Carolina has 21 wins. Should they beat Wake, they will have 22 wins. Either way, if the Tar Heels don't make the tournament, it will be the most wins in a season. I shouldn't say regular season because that's not true. We're including conference tournament. It would be the most wins they've had in a season and not made the tournament. What do you think about that?
Well, that would be pretty incredible. I don't see how. This is just me talking here, but
do it.
How can you keep a 22-win North Carolina team out of the tournament? Yeah, I don't see how they could do that. Now, they might. They very well might. I don't see it happening. But that would be wild to be the winningest non-NCAA tournament team.
In Carolina history. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Pac Kilby, we've gone long already, but I know a lot of people would just love to hear a few words about the Dale Pirates winning the Oklahoma 2A state championship. Can you just talk to us just a minute or two about it?
Yeah, man, first of all, dream come true. Super thankful for everybody that's been following and supporting. Our guys played really well. It's a 3 straight day tournament. So it's Elite 8 on Thursday, semifinals on Friday, and championship on Saturday. Quick turnaround. Quarterfinal game, the Elite 8, we took care of business. Semifinals, we won by 25. Heading into Saturday, I felt good about it. It was a rematch of last year's state championship game, actually. Dell and Picola played each other in the 2A state championships last year. So we were already really familiar with their personnel. And our guys were just so locked in. And there was no way to predict that we would have beat them the way that we did. We ended up 60-20, so a 40-point win for those of you that don't know. But my goodness.
I prefer to say you tripled their score. That just
we played phenomenal basketball. I think now this is just shooting from the hip here, so it's going to be ballparking, but I believe they shot 16% from the field, and we won the rebounding battle 47-28, I believe. 49-28 maybe. So we just dominated from start to finish. And that's really just a testament to our players. They were really good, and so dream come true. Obviously, to win a state championship, that's the pinnacle of where I'm coaching. And so truly a blessing.
Man, Pac, I'm so insanely proud of you, dude. What a cool thing. Such massive congrats to you, the rest of the staff, the boys, the families, the community. It's just a really great thing. Here's to many more, right? But there's never anything like that first one that really just gets it. It was really cool to see pictures of you and your boys, and say to your wife, just with the truck, man, just great stuff. So happy for you. And now it's time for some much deserved rest for you as the basketball season is over. Now you can lock in on the Heels for as long as they'll continue to play. Guys, we apologize for going so long, but look, there's just so much going on, and we got to talk about all of it. Today, Carolina, Wake Forest, 2:30 Eastern, following Duke and Georgia Tech. So we'll already know, like, hey, if we win, this is who we're playing on Friday. As a reminder, speaking of our guys, Coach Rob and his Milligan team is already in Kentucky preparing for their first game and hopefully first of many in the NAIA National Tournament. We'll keep you up to date on that as well. Just everybody winning around here. Pac Kilby, let it rain. All right, guys, no update. The Georgia-Oklahoma game's at a commercial, but you already know who won that game by the time you're listening to or watching this. If you've not subscribed on YouTube, do it now. Massive thank you. I'm going to continue to say it. We have passed 10,000 YouTube subscribers, and it's all because of you all that come here to hang out with us and listen to us yap on about the Tar Heels all the time. I wouldn't be anywhere else in the world. I absolutely love it. If you've not subscribed or joined the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, man, that's a great place to be, especially this time of year where stuff's going absolutely bonkers. And if you want to go next level, where you get direct access to me and my charts, my stats, my data, and the place where I'm going to just drop every portal rumor I hear this offseason, join the Locked On Tar Heels Insider so you don't miss out on that. That link is also in the show notes. You guys, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again this afternoon after Carolina hopefully knocks off Wake Forest and Hunter Salas. But until then, Pac Kilby, tell them.
Peace.